So 10 days later, beat off the door, armed police, took me to HMP Feltham. HMP Feltham couldn't have me, so they starred me up, which made me a category A prisoner, which I didn't know what that was at the time. So age 18, they said get him out, and I was the youngest bail marshal I've ever had at that time, as an officer told me. No one's ever asked me it like that. Wallahi, that's a great question, because it makes me center myself to that night. I've never even shared this with no one, but after the incident took place, the eldest of the group fist pumped me like, yo, bad boy, like, you're willing to duppy man for man, like, so blasé. You know, you think stabbing someone in the bum is safe? There's arteries running through there, akhi. And we know brothers that have died from that in London. The hardest 15 months of my life, and I said to the parole board, I prefer to do 3 years in maximum security prison than 15 months here. She said, why? So then that's what I started to read into, you know, like the seerah, and bro, just fell in love with this man. We need to start upgrading on our role models. And I just don't know why Promise Islam is not even in around your lips. Like, for me, I can't. It blows my mind. You don't understand. Being born into Islam is not enough. You can still learn your deen. Don't just inherit it.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, my brothers and sisters. Hope you guys are well, inshallah. Welcome back to another episode on Inspiring Ikhwa. Today, alhamdulillah, we have an amazing guest who we've been meaning to do the podcast with for a very long time. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, my bro.
Assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
How's it going, man?
Alhamdulillah.
Subhanallah, it's been a long time coming.
Very long. Apologies. We put it off, but alhamdulillah, it's at an appointed time. And Jazakallah khairan for the invitation. I always look at brothers' invitation and see if I have a valid reason to reject. And you offered the 22nd?
Today is the
21st.
Yeah.
And I had no good reason. So
yeah,
it's important. It's one of the rights of the Muslims to, if they extend an invitation, if you have no good reason, you must accept. So barakallahu feek, may Allah bless you for inviting.
Well, before we get into our episode today, what we do in our podcast is, from the previous guest, they leave a question for the next guest.
Subhanallah.
Yeah.
All right.
So what our previous guest had in mind, a question for you, was, which field are you in now?
Wait.
Yes, go ahead.
Did he know who the next guest was going to be?
They didn't know.
All right.
They didn't know.
Bismillah.
Yeah. So what field are you in now, and what are the struggles that you went through to get into what you're doing now?
Subhanallah. You sure you didn't know me?
He didn't know you. He didn't know you.
So ask that again. So what was the struggles that got me into what I'm doing today?
So what are you doing now?
None.
And what struggles did you have to go through to get to where you are now?
Subhanallah. Bismillah. Alhamdulillah wa salatu wa salam ala rasulillah. It's a strange one, because what I went through was almost self-inflicted, but my long custodial sentence of serving 16 years in prison brought me to the place that I am now, which is something that I ruled out, because I thought I would never be able to work with young people, support them. And there's two things why I do what I do today. Is one, I'm trying to right my own wrongs. So, make sure the shabab, the youth, are not making the mistakes that I made. But I got into it by just following some advice to visit an organization who I requested to work with young people with, and they kind of gave me that opportunity. So it was kind of inspired by wanting to be better. And I got into this work via advice and being given an opportunity that not many people would give you after you've kind of had the background that I have had. So it's difficult to answer that question, because it's almost like I've had to go through the judicial system, offending and being incarcerated in prison, and then coming out, and then it's hit me to say, this is what I want to do. So that's kind of like the journey in short. Hope that answered the question.
Subhanallah. So this is not a path that you initially, decided to take when you were younger, or, No.
In fact, I ruled it out. So I remember, I don't know, it was around year 4, year 5, going into year 6 in primary school. And I always wanted to work in either an airport or a hospital.
Okay.
Always. I think it was more the engagement with people. But I remember my stepdad, who was a diplomat at the time, used to help patients. And we used to go Heathrow Airport a lot. And I don't know what it was. I like the busyness. he was like an authoritarian. He was in a suit.
Yeah.
There was something about it.
Yeah.
So the seeds were planted very young to always wanting to have worked into a hospital or an airport. So when I came out, the country would really say to you, you're not allowed to work in either place due to security and your DBS, which literally just reads common assault, ABH, GBH, murder.
Yeah.
So it shows you, dua is the weapon of the believer. And I believe the sujuds that I made in prison, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala can blow open any door that he wants.
Of course.
And to see myself working with the NHS, with the organisation that I'm working with now, is mind-blowing for me. So how weird, from year 5, 6, realising that I wanted to work in either an airport or a hospital, then going into prison and ruling that out, saying that will never happen again.
Yeah.
Now I'm working in a hospital is mind-blowing.
Allahumma barik.
So subhanallah. So
it's crazy, man.
Yeah,
man. I understand where you're coming from, having thinking about not being able to work with young children, because I was a teacher myself. So these are kind of like things you learn about anyway, with not having the right DBS and having criminal records and stuff like that. Subhanallah, Allah really opens doors for you.
And Aki, do you know what it is? I get that, because safety of young people is paramount. We need to protect our young people. So I understand when you say, Khattab, you was a violent one back in the day. We don't want you around our young people. I get that. But this is why I love being Muslim, because no matter what the world says or judges me about, Islam says, we forgive you. You can be better. Umar ibn Khattab said, it is not about faulty beginnings, it is about positive endings. So I get my hope from that. I can't rely on people, but you make that dua and Allah will just shoot down each door. So for me, it was a special time when you start seeing the du'as that you made back then starting to be answered, when you realise the country would never give it to you.
Yeah.
So I do believe, Akhi, that Islam is the best for rehabilitation. But when you look at this country, Akhi, let's be real. Yeah, I'm a British citizen, born and bred.
Yeah.
It's not forgiving. It's not a forgiving place. And Akhi, let's put our own community on blast as well. Because even sometimes part of our ummah judge.
Yes, of course.
Do you understand? It's like, yeah, but you was like this, so you're not going to get my daughter. But Akhi, judge me by what I'm today. Don't judge me by what I was then. And we have those conversations. Remember him? He used to be a thief.
Yeah.
And, they wouldn't give you a job, Akhi. So we should be looking at our community in a more forgiving way. And Prophet ﷺ was the best of that. Yeah, he did overlook stuff. Yes, we're not passive. But Islam is a religion of mediation. We do not go to the extremes. And we don't be passive. We're assertive. So for me, I came out and I was like, yo, give me a second chance. Like, do you know what I'm saying? So alhamdulillah, when you love what you're doing, it's not work. And wallahi, Akhi, I love what I'm doing. I love what I'm doing.
May Allah put barakah in this.
Ameen.
And make it easy for you.
Ameen.
Okay, so let's get into the questions. Bismillah. Tell me about your upbringing. Were you born and bred? You said you were born and bred in this country?
Yeah. Aki, I'm a bit of a cocktail of London.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm a bit of a cocktail. Born in East London.
Yeah.
Whips Cross Hospital. Fled there when I was about 2, 3 due to domestic violence. My mum raised us in West London, Kilburn, Ladbroke, Grove Way. So that was my upbringing, my predominant upbringing until age 18, until I was incarcerated for murder, where I got a life sentence. But now I realise, like, coming out, Lewisham's adopted me. So it's like East, West, South, and that's a community. Love Lewisham to death.
Okay.
I just haven't come. It's ironic that we're doing a podcast in North London.
Yeah.
But I don't know if I've met your pedigree yet.
Yeah.
I haven't come here yet.
But
so born in East, raised in West, living in South.
Okay.
So my upbringing was predominantly in West London. Predominant peer group, Jamaican, like Caribbean. They had quite a few nicknames for me, but that was my predominant attraction to the group and upbringing. So you become a product of your environment. Alhamdulillah, I'm happy to be Moroccan Afghan, but my upbringing was predominantly amongst that group, which is strange because mum might put a certain cream on the shelf, like give you something like mum, I like cocoa bar. Like mum will make, and she's a bad boy cook, like lamb tagine, couscous is the national Moroccan dish. Or like mum want rice and peas in it. So it's not to fit in or be accepted. It's just you become a product of your environment. So I enjoyed my upbringing. It weren't that bad, but there were major events that went on and had lasting impact. But when I looked at it, I could see my mum just trying as a parent, and love her for that. But there were major events that did take place that impacted me later. But when I look back at my childhood, there were amazing years, and there were years that were traumatic, and then there was years that shaped me.
SubhanAllah.
And then I went on, and then to cause of madness and
Yeah,
express
yeah.
those traumas. So
Yeah.
could be in front of you now as a
Yeah.
recovering alcoholic.
Mm-hmm.
Could be in front of you now as somebody who's involved in domestic violence. But I subscribe to peer group violence, so
Mhm.
that was kind of like the negative space for me to express myself. Wrong, by the way, but as my formative years were taking place, that was predominantly what I subscribed to. So my upbringing is a bit strange, dysfunctional in certain parts of timeline.
Yeah.
Only know the Moroccan side of the family, so I grew up like a
Okay.
Moroccan. So 5 amazing uncles that had to play that role model because of the absence of the father. Siblings were fine growing up. So not a perfect life, but I would remember, when the electric ran out.
Okay.
You understand?
So
The concept of
yeah.
putting a pound in the TV to get another hour.
Okay.
Do you get it? So
Okay.
that's to point out we didn't grow, as they say, with a silver spoon in our
Yeah,
mouth.
yeah,
We
yeah.
didn't come from riches. We didn't.
Yeah.
My mum done her best.
Yeah.
But that was just another part of our upbringing. But we was grateful. We loved looking forward to stuff.
SubhanAllah.
So-
Moving around, in London, how did that have an impact on your, upbringing? So, because for example, I moved around when I was younger, and it's sad to say, but I don't have someone that you can call like a best friend from young age.
Yeah,
Some people say like, oh yeah, we were born together and
Yeah,
did
yeah.
this and that. Did you have that kind of detachment or attachment issues?
Yeah. No,
No.
because leaving East London, my mum used to live in Leytonstone, and my real dad had a house in Upton Park. And because we were so young, you don't really need stability at 2 or 3. There's like little memories I remember of the block in Leytonstone, but that's it. And then we moved over to West. And you got to remember, my mum did provide stability because I was in school for all 5 years. It
Right.
went wrong in year 9,
Okay.
but I was in school. So I did, the moving around, as you put it, didn't impact me because I was stable in one area, same school friends. So for me, there was,
Okay.
I can't say that impacted me. And you got to remember, Akhi, I came off the streets very young. So there's a lot of people that might get a murder charge 25, late 30s, sometimes 40s. You got to remember I was taken off literally at 17, but 18, you got to remember how much upbringing would I have had. I haven't lived that much, but moving to West London, that was predominantly all my upbringing up until my incarceration. So I wouldn't say moving around, it impacts a lot of the young people
Yeah.
I work with, but I can't say to you, Aki, that was one of the factors.
Cool.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
can't say that. It wasn't.
Okay, no
Yeah.
problem. And obviously, you said that things started to go a bit fuzzy towards a bit when you were younger.
Yeah.
Was that around 18 years old or a bit younger than that?
Now, it was fuzzy way younger than that.
Okay.
I remember this concept when it was shared with me once, and it just resonated with me so much. And I was like, me growing up, Aki, I definitely had 3 faces.
Mm.
Yeah. I had one for the gang, I had one for my mum, and I had one when I was alone in the bedroom. And that face in the bedroom, Aki, no one can get to. It was just, I had nobody. So you start acting out. You feel crying is a form of weakness. You can't be macho. You can't, like, you got to be macho. Like, so for me, growing up, I reckon the way we was disciplined impacted me throughout my childhood years. So 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. And then 14, I grew some.
Okay.
I was able, you better, like, I've grown a foot or 2 in it. And I
Yeah.
don't want to hear all of that. But parents have this and your mum. We
Yeah.
never had no Islam.
Yeah.
We didn't know the status that they had. Plus, the love we were shown, or sometimes the lack of it, was what be expressed back. So I don't want to hear all of that, because now
Yeah,
I know
yeah.
how special they are.
Right.
Even when they are in the wrong, they got a visa. But growing up, I would say 14 was when that shift happened. Like, I'm a bad boy.
Okay.
Nah, you ain't
Yeah.
disciplined and nothing like that. Because I quite a lot of beef growing up with my stepdad.
Yeah.
But I'd say 14 was the big change. So those 4 years, Aki, wild.
What made you fall into that path? How did that shape, what shaped you to be that particular person during that age?
I think it's a number of factors. I think childhood is, as we say today, childhood adverse effects. So the ACEs, as they sum them up as an acronym, play into adulthood. Definitely throw that in there. Yeah. Then you become a product of your environment.
Yes.
I ain't grow up in certain parts of Chelsea, and that weren't my circle.
Yeah.
So you become a product of your environment. If I see how people manage something in my formative years, then I will absorb that. Remember, Akhi, the antidote is it positive role models. Islam. Like those are your protective factors. Take all of that away because we never had it. So because it sounds lame, it sounds like, oh, so you just became a follower in the hood. Akhi, there's nothing there. So you become a product of your environment. If that's, alhamdulillah, I never touched drugs. But I think that was a factor. Upbringing, local area, ACEs, growing up is definitely a part of it. The relationships that you form, toxic sometimes, poverty, so social, economical issues. Actually, it's a number of things. It's a number of things that started to shape me about the person I became at age 18.
Okay.
So it's a number of factors. And being kicked out of school age 9, year 9 as well. That's another factor. Because when you exclude me from mainstream school, then you've ostracized me from everyone else. Then what is there time for? Negative peer groups to kick in.
That's it.
No healthy distractions. So actually, I gave you about 5 reasons of why I became the person I became at age 18. Assalamu alaikum, rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Big up all the brothers here at Inspiring Ikhwa. May Allah bless their efforts. May Allah accept it from us. Please like and subscribe. Spread the ilm, spread the knowledge, spread all the reminders for the sake of Allah. And inshallah, bismillah, you'll get a portion of the reward. May Allah bless you. Barakallahu feek.
Well, it's really interesting you mentioned that because, you know, when we go to a state school or go to like a public school, it's regular. You're treated regularly, you know, like a normal person would treat a normal student. But let's suppose you did something really bad, or you got kicked out of school, you got put into unit. I don't think that's a form of rehabilitation. That actually gets you deeper into stuff rather than actually take you out of it. Do you think that education system works now?
Brother, this is going to take up about 1 hour of your podcast. 'Cause I'm passionate about this, First of all, I am not, as a disclaimer, critiquing all schools. There are some schools that are geared up with a framework that supports young people.
Right.
Why do I know this? Because I work with those schools. Sometimes I argue and advocate for young people to get back into school. So first things first, it's not a blanket statement. Okay?
Yeah.
But education needs to be reformed massively. Yeah? Young people are coming out of school knowing what 1 + 1 is, but they don't know what tax is. They have no coping strategies. Akhi, I'm a big man.
Yep.
I have known all my life, pi is 3.14. I ain't never needed that. I ain't never needed X over Y. I ain't never needed that. You got 30 young people whose brains are functioning at different time in class to one teacher.
That's it.
What are you doing with our children for 8 hours? Right? To then spam them with homework. What? Because you couldn't get your daily planner in, so now you spam our young people, which takes them away from what? Their parents' activities that they may love. Now, this is what I'm going to just hit home with. What's on the rise? Homeschooling.
Yes.
My sister does it. I see the difference.
Okay.
Yeah? Homeschooling. 3,500 reduction in enrollment numbers last year. Yeah? Parents are understanding that their children are not getting what they want in schools. Yeah?
Right.
Actually, look, my little sister, she smashed it this year. Her grades were amazing. She got some A stars, yeah? I love my bank, right? But what about those that don't get that? That may be amazing in something else. So now they question themselves, Akhi, do you think I'm dumb? I knew when you put me in 7F, that means we were part of the dumb class. I'm not dumb. That's 7F, 7A, 7M, and 7E.
Yeah.
So I started to work out like, these people are like me. And then you're looking at them and you're like, raw, you lot always get the maths questions right. So we work out very quickly, Aki. But in answer to your question, definitely, when you ostracize them from mainstream school, and Aki, go check Google, I said stop school exclusions nearly 6 years ago. Yeah, the mayor's office now is picking up on it and understanding that this is a major factor where we're just pulling the trigger and kicking young people out of school, and then they got nowhere to go. Bruv, you're trying to give them homework through the letterbox. What the heck?
No way.
Yeah, well, that's what's going to happen. When you've been excluded, you go home and we'll give you your homework through your letter. That's not how all young people work.
Okay.
There was one head teacher, I believe it was like Ilford Sides or East London. Actually, I rate him. Yeah? He was in the BBC News. And he didn't exclude his young person for carrying a knife in his bag.
Okay.
Now, actually, look, I was a head teacher and a young person came to school with a knife, alarm bells are ringing. What the heck?
Of course,
I've got to safeguard all my pupils. He didn't. He didn't. So the report asked him, why didn't you exclude him? And he said, because I spoke to him.
Yeah.
And when I spoke to him, he told me the reason why he carried a knife is because he read an article. That kid read an article, and in the article it said that people are getting attacked in this park. That's the park he has to commute to get to school. So survival instinct kicked in, and he carried a knife. We can manage that. Don't exclude him, and then stick him into a school where all other young people may be bad influences on each other. And again, vulnerabilities get maximized. So for me, Akhi, don't get me on school. I'll put him on blast. Yeah. But Akhi, quite a lot of the disbelievers, if that's how we want to categorize them, Akhi, they're really good at homeschooling, and we as a ummah need to get onto it as well, of how we can come together to not just protect our young people, our children, our community, but start to get them to make sure they're reaching their potential. Yeah, because they might get left behind in mainstream school.
Correct.
Yeah? And then they start questioning this. Actually, it's quite a lot of pressure for young people. Some young people take their lives.
Yes.
Yeah, they take their lives because of pressure of not getting a certain grade. But this year has been amazing, man. I've seen some young people that may be profiled by certain social media celebrating their grades, and bro, some of them bring a tear to my eye. I'm like, you see, you can do it. You can do it. So big up the teachers that probably put work into them as well. But Akhi, don't ever ask an education question again. I'll go in, bro. I'll go in.
No, man, subhanAllah. Because I mentioned earlier, like I qualified as a teacher. So these kind of things resonate with me. And one of the reasons that I didn't actually continue teaching is because I feel that not every individual, young people, are given the opportunity to express themselves. I don't mean that in a funny way. I mean that in a way like, if someone is doing something wrong, you need to meet their standards. Like, you need to go down onto their level and understand what they're talking about. What we do is generalize. Like, in a classroom, if someone's acting up, yeah, cool, detention. Oh, yeah, you're not going playground, blah, 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 blah. Like, all that is just black and white procedure. There's no understanding. Okay, so why is he, acting this in this particular way? That, I think, lack of resources is one of them.
Agree.
And, I don't think government focuses on schools enough. They just want, yeah, cool. Yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Cool. Then go to, college, blah, blah, blah. You don't have to go university, but that's where it ends. I feel like it's all tick boxing, man. That's why.
You know what, Aki? If you unpack it a little bit more, I don't think we can just put the blame onto teachers, because they do quite a lot. I think there's quite a lot on them. The same way there is on social workers. They do quite a lot as remembering, yeah? But look at the system that we work in. Some of us, just to keep bread on the table, will put our children into care as young as 6 months. Nurseries and all
Absolutely,
that. Yeah? Sweden pay the mother to look after their children up until the age of 7.
Beautiful.
What's the sunnah? Play with your child up until the age of 7.
SubhanAllah.
Yeah?
Yes.
So we're putting them as young as 6 months. They're losing that connection with that parent as well.
Of course.
So we have to look at the system as well and say, yeah, you're not really for the next future, innit? Everyone thinks we're a rich country, Akhi. In Morocco, they think because we're from London, we're balling.
Yeah, of course.
They don't understand that this is a poor country. It's just a circle of rich people. Do you understand?
Yes.
So for me, Akhi, education definitely needs to be reformed. And how amazing do they move when they want to push agendas down your throat like that?
Tell me about
the whole
it.
framework's there within 2 seconds.
Yeah, of course.
So why can't we start tailoring the support to our young people? Because teachers, look, Akhi, some of them are amazing, but I do think it's going left right now. It is going left. The latest one I heard, I think it was a mother from Essex, said that her child was kicked out. I think her child was age 6, kicked out because he didn't call the teacher Miss.
Wow.
To me, growing up, it was Mr. or Mrs. Yeah? So kicked out the teacher, the new one for you, Akhi. Mix. Yeah, you have to call her Mix.
What's that?
They're entitled to be called Mix.
Mix. What's that?
The teacher told the child, refer to me as Mix. You can't call me Mr. or Mrs. Refer to me as Mix. Go away and work that out for yourself. If you don't laugh, you'll cry. If you don't laugh, you'll cry.
Bro.
This was viral. It went out. The video's gone out. The mother made the video. You just kick off my child. Because the child didn't refer to the teacher as Mix.
Sorry, bro. I don't... Mix.
Go away and work that out for yourself.
Yeah, you know what?
You got to be mindful of breastfeeding now. Yeah? They say you got to call it chest feeding. No.
Yeah, Habibi.
So we've got to start getting on point with the ummah.
I think
we'll lose a generation.
100%. And I think if we really look and deep dive into this, one of the things that we need to do is educate ourselves.
100%.
Because if the mothers are not educated, if the fathers are not educated, why do you expect the child to be educated?
Very, very good point. That is one of the reasons as well. Because if you look at, my mom came in when she was 9 from Morocco. But if you do look at some of our mothers and fathers from our ummah, they come over and will digest and absorb everything that the system will say. Now, Akhi, look, I don't want it to come across as hateful or anything like that. You're free to do what you want to do. I just start getting upset when you start opposing it on us.
Yes.
Yeah?
Yes.
That's when I start getting upset and say, no. I'm not a secularist Muslim.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a Muslim at work. The concept of secularism is like, I'll park up my topi here, but on this day I'm not here. Akhi, I'm Muslim at work, whether you like me or not. So we have to be like that with our children in schools as well. Mm-hmm. No one's saying scream around the classroom, Allahu Akbar. No one's saying you have to do that. But we need our young people to go into school and be proud of their identity and keep it in place. Because why? Inclusion is counted, and your characteristics as a Muslim is also protected. So Bismillah, be proud.
SubhanAllah. Right, let's fast forward it to when you were, when the crime happened, and when your life really took a shift for the worse. Was it actually what happened?
So, long story short, I had 3 Codys on that specific night. Due to being still on probation, can't have contact with them for obvious reasons. And one of the eldest in the group had conflict with the victim that passed away. And that argument ensued, and then we followed after, and then it was, in short, a massacre. But the reason why I don't go into heavy details about what took place that night, you never know a member of family who know who I am is viewing and just think that's a bit gory. I am embarrassed. You can take me off the face of the earth if you want. My creators decided for me to be here, and now I'm doing good works. That's not acceptable for them, and an apology to the victim's family is of course not enough, Akhi. I get that. You can't replace the son that they've lost.
Of course.
So for me that night, I'll be real with you, Akhi, I thought got away with it. So 10 days later, beat off the door, armed police, facing my bedroom carpet floor. Took me to HMP Feltham. HMP Feltham couldn't have me, so they starred me up, which made me a Category A prisoner, which I didn't know what that was at the time. So age 18, they said get him out, and I was the youngest Belmarsh ever had at that time, as an officer told me. So 18 years old, going to HMP Belmarsh, and then I eventually went on to the unit. My journey began, and I was on remand for about 9 months, and then I went to the Old Bailey. I don't know if I've fast forwarded it too much. Is that
no? We'll go back anyway.
Yeah.
So on the day, the thing happened.
Nah.
Tell me. Don't go into specifics. You don't have to. But I just want to know the emotions and the feeling. Like, what, bro? Tell me. Because obviously,
it's a good question.
For example, me and brothers that are watching.
Subhanallah.
For many of us, we haven't felt that, and we're on the path. Maybe in the future, we're leading up towards something like this. Wallah, we need to understand the emotions and feelings, bro. Tell us how is it?
No one's ever asked me it like that. Wallahi, that's a great question, because it makes me center myself to that night. And I remember only being asked closely from the audience when we was with Ayman in Oldham and Ustad Abdul Aziz, and one member of the audience heard the story and then asked me, what did I feel that night? And for me, Akhi, I didn't care.
SubhanAllah.
This is the reality. That's the 18-year-old version of me. I think what it was, and this might hit home, I spent 3 years in Hackney working with young people. Originally 18 to 25. I'm like, hell no, like that's too old. I want to start working with them younger, and they dropped it from 12 to 25. So I'm working with like gang members and drillers and young bucks and people on the periphery and some that are not there yet, but they like the attraction of another gang. And so I'm working with them, and I'm going to schools, and I'm case working, literally trying to change their life. I sat back and I realized a lot of this violence is fueled by trauma.
Right.
So I had to unpack that, and this is why it's been an amazing place for me to join the hospital teams, and I love the work that they're doing at the moment. And when I go back to being 18 years old, I realized I was doing exactly the same. The pain I feel, you gotta feel. The upset and the voids that I have in my life, I'm expressing onto you. And what I realized, Akhi, was it was an invisible book. And Akhi, even I've never even shared this with no one. But after the incident took place, the eldest of the group fist pumped me. Like, yo, bad boy, like, you're willing to dup you, man, for man. Like, so blasé. But we didn't believe he died. I've got to be honest with you.
Okay.
And I swear by Allah, wallahi, my intention was not to kill.
Okay.
This is another message for the young people.
Yes.
You think you can measure how much violence you inflict on somebody is a myth. You know, you think stabbing someone in the bum is safe. There's arteries running through there, akhi. And we know brothers that have died from that in London. Young people have died in London from that. So for me, I actually absolutely, wallahi, did not have the intent of killing. But of course, you wanted to cause a madness, isn't it?
Yeah.
So for me, akhi, going back to that day, I guess it was just that invisible book. Like, man, the minute, this is what you do. Like, you know, you inflict violence here and there. It sounds like almost like psychopath behavior. But when you're in that world, your brain's still developing, you're a product of your environment, you think what you're doing is just part and parcel of the street. And I stuck to the code so well, akhi. Let anybody watch this come and dirty up my name. You can't dirty up my name. From prison to road. Because I stuck to the book so much, and I call it the invisible book now. Because that invisible book on the street, nobody sticks to. Yeah?
Yeah.
Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, falsehood by its nature will perish. Falsehood by its nature. So this is all batil, this is all waste of time. Yeah? Because no one's ever going to stick it. And furthermore, there's no peace in it. So I'm glad I've submitted to Islam. And my probation officer, Jamaican lady, Beverly, she's amazing. I said, you had confidence in me to be doing this work with young people. She said, on paper, wherever it was, you are passionate about it. Whether it's your friends, gangs, weapons, whatever. You are passionate about everything. So I knew once you had your energy and you channeled it somewhere else, I knew that passion will come through in a positive way. I said, well, that was a risk because it worked out.
Yeah.
And I think I was looking for love and belonging, acceptance, like that name in the hood or whatever it is you're trying to build, the false book that exists. For me, it was just part and parcel of where we was, akhi. Yeah, you know, we watch video, we think we're bad in London. Most of us are actors, and you look abroad and you're like, yo, but akhi, you can't say they're more gang than us, because if I grew up in Chicago, I might be doing the same thing.
Exactly, yeah.
If I grew up in New Zealand, I might be doing the same thing. So it's not about who's better. I mean, that's just lame. Who's competing, who's on more smoke is lame for me personally. But if you become a product of your environment, then maybe we would be a gun country.
Exactly.
Do you understand? And I think there is a misconception across the US that we're shy of guns. We're not.
Yeah.
But it's not a legal country to be holding arms. So for me, I just grew up in my area and subscribed to it. And alhamdulillah, as my mum said, I'm kind of glad you went to prison, because I think you would have been 6 foot under. And as I said it, and I'll say it again now, okay, I'll do 6 life sentences if it means I can save myself from Jahannam and be a Muslim. Because I don't believe, although I was born into Muslim Islam, I wasn't Muslim. I feel I became a Muslim age 23, personally.
We will get into that, because I know definitely I want to get into that, inshallah. But before we get into that, Yani, you were arrested, right? You were arrested, you were taken to the prison. What was going through your head? Were you thinking about your mum? Were you thinking about your, like, who's going to look after my family? Because at 18 years old, you're a man. You know what I mean? You've got some sort of responsibility. Even if you're not working and providing for your family,
definitely,
it's still that. I would have it in my head like, okay, so if something happens to my mum, am I just going to rot in prison while she passes away or something like that? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
What was going through your head, bro? Because family is one thing that you worry about. What else?
I think at that age, when I did get incarcerated, I was very selfish. Me. Family, give me.
Okay.
And it's so funny, akhi, that you thought, would your parents rot away? And akhi, my head went in that space.
Okay. My
realization came in 2014. So I'm 12 years into my sentence.
Okay.
And my mum came to Loudon Grange. Well, I love my mum. May Allah bless her with John Al-Firdaus, because wherever this country placed me, she would visit. Yorkshire, she came. It took a whole day up. Yeah. And I remember Nottingham. So they put me in Nottingham for my Category B prison when I finally got out of maximum security prison after 10 years. And my mum lied to me. Not lie, but was dismissive of the truth because she wanted to see her son. So she's been visiting me for 12 years now. And she came on Nottingham with a crutch. And she's wobbling over to me. And the tears drop. And I didn't want to be on a visit. And I was like, Mum, man, like, why are you putting yourself through that? That's 12 years in, akhi. I realised when you're incarcerated, you don't think about your mum, your loved ones, building a family. Akhi, you don't think about cutting out 2/3 of the world because of your DBS. The country don't want you in there. You don't, akhi, as a kid, you don't think about anything about the harms because we don't have value yet. Someone tells us about our values later. So for me, I didn't think about none of that, akhi. When I was in prison, selfish, and I remember making a dua in the Old Bailey, Allah just get me through this. Like I was just thinking about, akhi, it was survival mode. There was no Islam. I remember I started practicing 5 years later.
Of course.
So for me, when I first went in, I'll be real, it was like, come, let's go. Akhi, I had the same prison number as age 17. So I was being in prison as a 17-year-old. I came out and then I got the murder charges as an 18-year-old. So going in was like, I know this. Like, this is all familiar. You think you can bad me up? Like, I know the screw. I know how to get my canteen. Like, I know what to do with the gym. It was like, it's survival mode, but I know how you function. So the second time round, it was just like, if I'm being real, will I get away with this? Will I get away with this? And then when you're convicted, worst words I ever heard. Worst words I've ever heard. Akhi, even now,
mad.
Yeah, imagine the grave, bruv. But to hear a judge, I'll never forget him, Giles Forrester, waste man. Yeah, he's a waste man. Waste man. Court 14 in the Old Bailey. Giles Forrester, waste man. And there's a reason why I'm saying that as well, because he wasn't fair in the trial. But qadallah mashafa Allah. And when the jury passed the verdict, I actually got a 10-2, so 2 people believed the case that we delivered, and you needed 1 more for a hung jury. So when the foreman tells him, here's the verdict, and then he reads out guilty, the family in the gallery erupt. You don't want to be there. The judge sums up, says his little piece. He goes, 2 screws come next to me. You're behind the shield. And then the judge goes, take him down.
Like that.
And those words, akhi, was just, I'm no one. Like, little man. Take him down. And apparently that's traditional.
Oh, is it?
That's what they would do. That's what, and where you taking me down to? Dungeons, bruv. Cells. And you sit there and you're a waste man, and then you're in this and you're just questioning, where did I go wrong? Okay, I'm gonna be real with you. I ain't a bad boy. I'm a good human, bruv. Like I'm not a bully. You know, if we're in class and you know they're teasing the girl that might have a mobility issue, I'm like, bro, allow it, fam. Like, don't do that. I had a heart. I didn't have a black heart. Do you get it? But those are the worst words ever. Take him down.
Take him
not
down.
Nice. Not nice.
My God. Akhi, so your first day in prison, what was going through you, bro? Because wallahi, I really tried to put myself in someone else's shoes. I've heard your story. I've heard Akhi Ayman's story. I've heard another brother that we know locally. He's been in for a very long time, almost twice as yours. Wallahi, bro, I can't begin to imagine how I will live in a prison for a week, let alone years.
Yeah.
Wallahi, bro, thinking about it now, bro, I got hairs like sticking up.
I had that. What you had, I had. If you told me age 17 with all the crud I was keeping up, you're going to do 16 years in jail, I'll be like, nah, bro. Like meltdown. I'll be like, I cannot fathom that. You understand?
Yeah.
But this is why as Muslims we adapt. You know, it's I didn't have that source of strength at that time, if I'm being real.
Yeah.
But that's why I said to you, Akhi, it was about survival mode. And I think when the first time I was in there, it was like, whoa, Akhi, I'm a person who observes. So you could bring me 10 brothers that you know that have been incarcerated, and everyone's going to have a different side of events and experiences. It's like a Rubik's Cube, Akhi. There's different sides and views. Now, I knew how to function. I don't borrow, don't trouble my door, won't trouble your door, and I keep it moving. And there was one that I made throughout my prison sentence. I said, Ya Allah, just give me one person. Like Musa said, alayhi salam, just give me one person, and he gave him Harun, always on his right shoulder.
Like a companion.
Like a companion. I didn't beg for a gang, knowledge, cell power, wing power. I just said, and Akhi, that wasn't about strength. That dua was for my mental health. Just someone I can vibe with, chop it up from London, things that will resonate, have a laugh and joke, go behind my door, and then ride the next day. And wherever I went, I always had a set of brothers. Always had a set of brothers, even when I was in Yorkshire. And Yorkshire, you know what they call us up in Yorkshire? Those prison officers were calling us Southerners.
Okay.
Like Southerners.
Like that?
Yeah, the way we say
labeling.
The way we say mate down here, they're saying cocker. I'm like, who you calling a cocker, fam? Like it's different around the UK. Everyone's got their own little trends and that. And wherever I went, wherever they put me, alhamdulillah, I always had one brother. There's one brother in Yorkshire from Harlesden, Isa. I never forget him, man. He was my rock.
Okay.
He had me, I had him. Yeah, and we'd share county. Like, that brother there, I'd love to meet him again. Yeah, I'd love to meet him again. He was a good brother. He was my strength. He got me through 2 years in Yorkshire, and that was the hardest. Remember, those were your first years.
Yeah.
And then you start getting stronger and stronger and stronger. But Aki, I'm an observer. So when I come in the wing, I see how it operates. There are different patterns for different wings. There's different vices, the different this. But for me, I loved, at the point, I didn't love being in prison, but at the point I was incarcerated, it was much older. So I'm with older heads, mature. They ain't gonna kill you for stepping on their trainer. Like they're just here to do their bird and keep it moving. But as I got to the middle part of my sentence, younger. Aki, I was with last year I was working with a 12-year-old stabbed 15 times. Go back to being a 15-year-old. Aki, it didn't start for me then. So they're getting younger and younger and younger. But in prison, Aki, everyone has a different experience. I'm just about getting through each day, do a bit of gym, cooking, but Aki, it's survival mode. You go in it, you'll be surprised, Aki, but you're telling me you can't fathom a week. One thing I don't like, Aki, when I'm talking to brothers, they'll go, yeah, but man never done what you done. I said, Aki, don't write off your 12 months in prison. Those 12 months were your life sentence. That took you away from your family. That questioned your mental health. What does Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala say? We do not burden a soul with more than it can handle.
Wallah, it's coming to that.
It doesn't.
No.
So don't compare sentences, because I was breaking lasagnas with brothers doing 40 years. That's 4 decades. So I'm looking at him over the lasagna. Akhi, smile like that. That's Iman, by the way. Wallahi, smile like that. I remember sitting down with him. I cooked a lasagna. We're sitting there, beaming. Khattab, how was your day? Beaming smile, Somali brother. He's doing 4 decades. And I'm thinking, I don't know how you're smiling. I couldn't do 4 decades. And you're talking about my 16 years.
Subhanallah.
Allah does not burden a soul with more than it can handle, and maybe I couldn't handle 40 years. So don't look at it like I couldn't fathom a week. You'll be surprised what the body does. You'll be surprised with the strength that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bestows on us. And yeah, I get your point though. I couldn't fathom doing 16 years in prison. Alhamdulillah, I got through it though.
Subhanallah. Bro, you know, a lot of the brothers, and we were talking about this earlier, a lot of the brothers, when they come out of prison, they seem to, and not only them, is brothers who are not in prison also, they tend to glorify the prison life. What is it day-to-day life like in prison? What do you do? Surely it's not fun.
Exactly. What it is, Akhi, in prison, the little things are magnified. What means a lot to you outside, is like a palace to us inside. So a pair of trainers, a tracksuit, a book, those pieces of properties are our world. Akhi, do not underestimate a letter. A letter, brothers will read that letter 5 times.
SubhanAllah.
They would read that letter. A letter is something amazing. You can email a prisoner now. So I email quite a lot of clients and some of the brothers that are still in prison. And you're right, Akhi, let's not glorify it. It's dead. It's rubbed out. Like, there's nothing to glorify about prison. You're not a bad boy. You ain't got a notch on your belt. Aki, let's relay the realities of what prison's really like. What happens is, Aki, especially with social media now, you start to see people enjoying themselves. I know of the recent incident in Wandsworth, where people think that they can relay, we can carve out a cushy life. Now, brother, you're missing outside. We have freedom. In broader terms, maybe some people wouldn't even agree with that. We're able to go to the toilet when we want. So are you at certain times. Eat when we want. Go out when we want. Walk in a park. Actually, I craved walking in the rain. Because you weren't allowed to walk in the rain in maximum security prison because of a security risk. If a fight breaks out, they run out. Officers are tripping over. So little things like that, we take for granted. But what happens is, the way we view stuff, we think, yo, prison's minor. Bro, I was working with one young kid. He goes, brother, if I dip this kid, I get life. It's minor, blood. Like, I'll ride my bird with my PlayStation 5. And I'm like,
madness.
I'm like, idiot. Akhi, this was like 3 years ago. I was like, idiot, Akhi, PlayStation 5s ain't even out. Like, they weren't even out at the time, however years ago it was. So them, you can see the shabab, the youth, feed into my life might look like this and the consequences are not enough for me and I'm happy to just ride my brother. Like, brother, that shows you misinformation as well. You know, so for me, in prison, it ain't great, bro. It's not, let's be real. And like I said, and I said it before, one of the most humiliating things is, especially when you're moving prison to prison, strip searches. Take down your boxes. Aki, if I told you, take down your boxes right now, Aki, you're picking up that microphone and that's going around my topi, bruv. You'll be like, what?
Yeah.
You understand? It's humiliating.
It's humiliating.
So why are we going to accept that in prison? Another man looking at your private parts, and then when you go for your food on the wing, you're looking at him guarding, saying he knows what my ding-a-ling look like. Aki, let's tell the shabab that, bro. They don't get more bad boy. How's that a bad boy? Like, no. So the realities of prisons, Aki, I don't think it really comes through. The glorification of what it looks like in prison. And Aki, I do think there's a lot of people that do come out that have very low self-esteem and they talk about how they were bad in prison and ran the whole prison. Nonsense. Because a nitty would take me out. And anyone can take out anyone in a prison. And I just think these glorified straplines, Aki, are boring. They're not depicting the ummah the way they should be depicted, the good stuff that they've done. And you know when these people come out, Aki, they've got the brothers are still serving.
Yeah.
So there's our officers that are watching. You could go away and make their life a lot harder from a story you feel like's amazing. I'm not talking about intelligence.
Right.
I'm talking about these glorified like it's not accurate.
Sir.
You get it, Aki? So I'm very responsible because the experience I had, I was always blessed with having good company that kept me away from fights, company that's to keep your eye on the prize, which is home. Yeah, so I always had good company. But then you get some that come out and like, man, used to run the whole prison. Brother, stop. You're not the number one in anything. You didn't run nothing.
Yeah.
The only thing you was running was your tap. Yeah, you weren't running nothing. We have to be realistic, Aki, because it's becoming a trend now that, you know, bad boys online, and it's sad, Akhi. Wallahi, it's sad, because the best thing you can propagate is being Muslim. That's powerful. Yeah, talk about who you know and ran this wing. Bruv, do you know who I know? Allah.
SubhanAllah.
Yeah, and this is the narration, this is the narrative we have to keep sending out there, Akhi, yeah? Because I done 16 years and I can tell you some bougie stories.
Yeah.
But you got to put that in context as well.
Of course.
Yeah? So, alhamdulillah, prison ain't a nice place, but I've always said this saying to sum up your question: prison is what you make it. Prison is what you make it. So if you want to be a bad boy, see someone across the wing take you out eventually, or put that gym bar over your neck. Yeah, don't act bad. Don't be the wing bully. If you're going to be somebody who likes to borrow and don't pay back, then you know what your ending is going to look like. Prison is what you make it. I do my time, drop me out. And Akhi, let's stop these Hollywood movies about this is what it looks like and man, I smash a man. Akhi, that don't run in UK prisons. Like, yeah, all that, the way the sexual thing goes on in the US, that's not in the UK. Certain wings might keep up certain antics, but the false narrative, I'm glad I've gone through it. I've got the real accurate true story of what's going on. But movies that I was watching, I thought it was like in there.
It's not like that.
Nah, okay. It's not. Prison is what you make it. Yeah, and that's it. People will drop you out, Akhi. Just do your thing. You got to have a little bit of tolerance. You might get tested one time. Just carve out a healthy regime as best as you can. Gym, a little bit of food, socialize with the brothers, attend your Friday prayers, come back to yourself and seek knowledge all the way through that. And inshallah, bismillah, you get out and you see your family.
You know, I was coming to I wanted to talk to you about protection in prison, right? Because as you said, rightfully so, on movies you see that, you know, there's gangs forming up within prisons. You got the whites, you got the blacks. Again, this is the movies. White, blacks, you got the Arabs. Let's suppose you get the Muslims and you get the Christians, whatever. There's forms of groups in gangs within prison. Was that the case in the UK prison? If so, how did you deal with that? And what influences did you have?
It's a good question, you know. I've never been asked that. I'll say yes and no.
Okay.
Yeah. The prison that I saw the most gangs in one place was in Yorkshire.
Okay.
And the reason why is because geographically where it was and the way the young people moved. So you had Birmingham.
Right.
Burger Bar against Johnson.
Okay.
Crew, yeah. You had Sheffield. And they used to beef sometimes Leeds CBT. Yeah. Then you had Newcastle. Man, call them Geordies. Akhi, for some reason, they kept beefing the Asians, predominantly Bradford Asians.
Right.
Yeah. There was about 4 London man there. and I'm missing someone out. And you had Manchester, you had Moss Side, and you had Longside, and they were getting cracking in education. Now, when you talk about the word gang, I don't really like the word gang, because the definition of gang, according to Google and the Home Office, is 2 or more committing a criminal offence.
Okay.
Yeah, 2 or more committing a criminal offence. And I guess that would stick, because one person can't be a gang.
Of course, yeah.
If there's more than one. And it is a criminal offence to assault someone. But in the theme of prison, I don't view them as gang, yeah, because it is a rehabilitative process, supposed to be. It's more where your loyalties lie. So if you came on the wing, and you know, you might top me up on my phone credit, it's a bit different now, but I've just given that as an example.
Yeah.
There's this like sense of loyalty in it. But what I loved is Ikhwa, brothers, valued each other. And we didn't care what you came here for, because Allah's your ultimate judge.
Okay.
I didn't go down the throats of a lot of other people, but there was something about brothers that just valued each other. Yeah. The problem that you would have sometimes is there are historical beefs outside. You killed my brother, bro. I've landed in the same prison as you, and I'm on you. And then what you'd have sometimes is, now that other side has took their shahada. So now it's upon the brothers to unite them and say, very difficult to say bye to your brother, but you enter Islam, you enter wholeheartedly. And you squash that and you charge it to the game. And wallahi, I had this test. I met my enemy.
Really?
I met this was a previous offence. Yeah, previous. This is when I was 17. Me and my brother done him up on a certain road. And he came. And I knew he was coming, 'cause I read the newspaper, and he had his crime was historical. Like, broke records. And I approached him. Lahi was down there, bruv. It's like down there. I approached him. He didn't recognise me. I've grown since then. Went bald, bruv. No fade. And he couldn't recognise me. I said, bro, do you know who it is? He goes, nah, bruv. We're talking through the gate. I told him who I was. He amped up. Didn't know what the system was like, but no problem. And then I told him, look, bro, I'm a practicing Muslim now. Don't want no issues. And actually, he was just going up and up. Like, he saw that as a form of weakness.
Right.
Like, bro, you're humbling yourself, and you, man, chopped me up back in the day. And I'm like, so, because it was going on, I'm not shouting. He's shouting. So then I just said, look, I remember the exact words. I said, look, bro, if you want to switch this on, I'm going to let you know you ain't going to be able to switch it off. His volume went down there. I don't do this shouting thing, whatever. Then he was like, what does that mean? It was about 18 months later. We was on the gym tracks together, gym treadmills. And he turned over to me and he goes, Khattab, I'm not going to lie. You could have made my life hell in this prison. I'm going to big you up. He goes, like, if I could ever help you. I said, nah, it's cool, man. 'Cause a lot of their money came from haram, innit?
Yeah.
He goes, bro, if you never need help, like, I'll help you. I said, brother, I'm good. I said, I was taught never abuse power, but I'm a Muslim. I've entered this side. And I thought, wow, how powerful is Islam? And inshallah, that was a dawah for him as well, to know that, look, bro, there are some brothers that might abuse power, but I'm not going to do that, innit, because I know I'm returning to my creator, and that's how it should end. But in jail, I wouldn't say so much it's always about gangs, akhi, although you might have loyalties from roads.
Yeah.
It's more where your loyalty lies. So you could be from Sheffield, bro, and I'm from Brixton, but if me and you vibe, then if it pops for you, I feel like I have to go down the block with you. You have that narrative.
Yeah.
You get some man of like, bro, I ain't trying to do block with you. So for me, I would say, don't be fixated on gangs within prisons, more about how relationships are formed.
Subhanallah.
You understand? So you would feel like you have to do it. And actually, I believe a true friend will make you laugh and cry. And I believe that if you was about to go on your visit, with your mum next week, I'm going to hold you from your hoodie, bro, and say, Akhi, look, there's no point twisting my man's wig. Leave it. You're going to have your visit with your mum down the block. She ain't going to be able to hold you. You're going to be seeing her through the window. A true friend will hold you back, bro. And this is the problem with prisons, that the little things get magnified.
Yeah.
What's mine out here? And like, he might brush me in the dinner line. I'm like, bro, did my man just test my waters? Your brain plays with you.
Because there's nothing there.
There's nothing there, Akhi.
Subhanallah.
It's not, Akhi, I saw a gang fight and it went to city levels, started over a porno magazine. And you're like, this could have been resolved. Yeah, I saw someone's whole face get burnt off because he told his friend in the gym, brother, like, certain man are saying your breath stinks, innit? So I'm just telling you now. That's his friend telling you what other people are saying.
Yeah.
He burnt off the friend's face. Why he was on the phone to his mum. In prison, the little things get magnified.
That's madness,
So
bro.
yeah, subhanallah. Next, I've got stories for jails, but I don't go into them.
Yeah,
It might be in the book one day, inshallah.
Inshallah. Yani, talk to me about your journey to Islam, because I think it happened in jail.
Yeah. I would say that I would attend Muslim service on a Friday, as we call it, Muslim service, because that's what Muslims do. My mum has always drilled into us very young to fast, so I would maintain fast, and there was achievement about that. I loved getting through each day. So my mum used to, make sure that we always fast. But I didn't know Allah. Like, I didn't, you understand? I had no connection. It's just that this is the things that Muslims do. And Akhi, I need you to understand how weak my knowledge is and the family I kind of brought into. I thought there was only 40 hadiths.
SubhanAllah.
I thought there was only, the way like the Bible got 10 commandments.
Yeah.
I'm thinking the Muslims got 40 hadiths. I didn't know there was hundreds of thousands of hadiths. Because you just hear things and you think that's what Muslims are. That's how weak I was. And then one brother from Guyana, he went home and then he sent me a book called Ideal Muslim and Bukhari. So I started to, at that point, I never read a book in my life. Age 23. So age 23, I started to practice.
Yeah.
Like, fell in love with Islam.
SubhanAllah, okay.
What I needed all my life.
Yeah.
I got a code, I got a mandate. And I got my role model. And then I was just like, yeah, this is me. So one time I just dashed the book on the shelf. I didn't think nothing of it. And because I only read one book up until my life. Kicked out year 9, you wasn't studying, you wasn't reading, you weren't doing nothing. You was on road, you was incarcerated, you don't read books. You'll watch the TV, you'll watch EastEnders. Do you understand?
Right.
So I'm like, book. And akhi, to this day, I'm thinking, why did I pick it up? But, I'm very literate. I'm not illiterate. I'm very literate. And then I picked up the book while I was on my bed one evening, started reading it. I said, all right, that was just interesting. I weren't trying to do 20 pages.
Yeah.
I just put that down. And I started to chip away at it. And then this started to just grow. So the fade and the little genuine tash here, that was all gone. And then it just started to grow. And then I was just like, whoa. And then there was parts, I ain't ashamed to say, crying like a baby.
SubhanAllah.
Like half a tissue roll gone. I'm like, but I'm talking to myself. Why are you bawling like this? I didn't even cry when they gave me a life sentence. So why am I crying now? I'm questioning, why are you crying? And then I realized, like, your soul is recognized what it's supposed to be doing. And then there was just things in that book, bro. How to treat my neighbor, how to treat my mother, who I was about to cut off, by the way. Shaitan was on me so hard, I just wanted to cut off the outside world and just do my life sentence. So alhamdulillah, like I told my mum later on in life, she said, if you ever cut me off, you would have killed me.
Allah.
So I would have put her, she goes, what, you think you're the only one in prison? I'm in prison as well, Mum was a proper Eastender. So that was a book that I needed at that specific point. And then I realized my loyalty is to Allah and His Messenger. All this time I've been wasting it on these guys that don't even wash their bum, bruv. Yeah, that's the reality.
Of course.
Let's call it right.
Yeah.
The Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam is telling me even how to wash. Like, akhi, I had hair under my arms, privates. Akhi, you don't understand.
Yeah.
Being born into Islam is not enough. It ain't enough, bro. And I think I posted about that recently, right? Like, being born in Islam, you can still learn your deen. Don't just inherit it. So there were still things that they were doing away from Tawheed because of the Moroccan culture. And this is well known. That's not a blanket statement about all Moroccans before they start commenting. But there are some cultures, I'm like, bro, that's not from the Quran and Sunnah. So I'll be ringing home. And my mum would be like, that's what my nan, that's my nan, so her mum. She goes, but that's what my mum would tell me. She goes, Mummy, I never knew. I said, all right, it's not from the Quran and Sunnah. She goes, now I know, I implement it. And what did Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala say in the Quran? Why do you follow those that are not wise like your fathers? Why are we following tradition? Keep going back to the source, Prophet ﷺ. So for me, it all started with that book, Ideal Muslim, and Aki fell in love with it, gave me like a little code as a reference point of the type of person I wanted to be. Very, very special book. And then I realized there's Ideal Muslimah. So I read that as well to complement the two, slightly bigger. And then I read that to complement the two. And then I think I started my reading journey, which is kind of whittled off, to be honest with you. Could do a lot better. But then as I started to read into, like the seerah. And bro, just fell in love with this man, bruv. And this is a message for all youth, akhi. We need to start upgrading on our role models. And I just don't know why Prophet ﷺ is not even in around your lips. Like, for me, I can't, it blows my mind. Yeah, he needs to be looked into. You deserve yourself. So you're ready to look into your favorite footballer.
Yeah.
You're ready to look into your favorite rapper.
Yeah.
And I'm telling you, this is a man that's going to give you a code for the rest of your life. Emulate him. And when you're copying things that you don't even have the wisdom about, later on you're like, whoa.
Madness.
Okay, those things like in the Western world, you know, we're looked at strange. Yeah, if we don't use fork and knife.
Right, yeah,
But
of course.
we're not like, you know, oh, look at them and, you know, this is what we do. And then you're like, but culturally, this is what we do. Like, khobs, bread, and boom.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
And then Prophet ﷺ used to lick his fingers.
Yes.
And I'm reading this. I'm like, bruh. And then you go on, and I'm going to make it clear. I don't need science to confirm Islam. I don't need science to confirm what Prophet ﷺ has brought. I'm making that clear. But how beautiful when you have the science to be like, whoa. And they're now saying that the enzymes on your fingers support digestion.
Islam confirms science.
There you
rather
go.
than the other way
Even
around.
better. But why are we not in the time of the Sahaba?
Yeah.
They heard and they obeyed.
Mm-hmm.
They heard and they obeyed. We're like, Akhi, why do we do this? And, you know, I need to know the virtue of why I'm doing it. They heard and they obeyed. They're next level. So yes, I love how you just put it that. Absolutely, bro. So for me, it confirmed, and this is why I always tell the shabab, if your mum tells you to do something, ask why. Not out of rebelliousness, it's because if you know the virtue, you never want to let go of it.
SubhanAllah.
So that's why.
So the book was called Ideal Muslims.
Ideal Muslim, yeah.
SubhanAllah. I think brothers and sisters, we should always try and invest in some good knowledge for us. SubhanAllah.
No.
Okay, I've got a few more questions, bro.
No.
I know we're running out of time.
No, Akhi, do you, bro? I'm at your disposal, bro.
MashaAllah.
I'm at no rush.
So, yani, 16 years go by, right? The struggles of being alone and finding it difficult to, you know, overcome certain days, day by day. When it comes to the end of your sentence, how was the feeling? Because I'm pretty sure it's like being let go of a zoo.
Yeah.
Because, you know, imagine being, I'm just imagining myself, bro. Again, I'm putting myself in someone else's shoes, your shoes. To me, it would feel like I'm in a zoo, captured.
No.
I can't go anywhere.
Yeah.
I'm hearing things, but I can't do it.
Yeah.
I can't walk on the streets even.
Yeah.
How was it for you, bro?
It's funny because we was talking about this recently, but just understand for a moment, especially for viewers. I was incarcerated when the Nokia A850 was the best phone. So I went in with no social media. So social media is taken off when I've been in custody. No Facebook, no Snapchat, no Instagram, no smartphones. Yeah? And when I've come out, I couldn't even answer the smartphone.
Okay.
So if my uncle or my cousin's ringing, the green bar comes up and the red bar. So I'm with Bradley one time, Musab from Woolwich, and I'm with him. I'm like, yo, Akhi, the thing won't answer, bro. He's laughing. He goes, bro, you have to swipe it. And I'm like, subhanallah, what world have I come out to? Like, I've got to reprogram. Bro, you know when you're on a WhatsApp message? They're on their fourth message. I'm still replying to the first one. My fingers can't move around this. Alhamdulillah, I'm better now, innit? So for me, coming out, the reason why I was talking about it recently, the last part was the hardest.
Is it?
Wallahi, I said to a parole board, she said, so how has it been in open prisons, category D prison? So I went maximum security, I was a cat A prison. Then you go to a cat B prison, then you go to a cat C prison, and then you go to a cat D prison. The hardest 15 months of my life. And I said to the parole board, I prefer to do 3 years in maximum security prison than 15 months here. She said, why? I said, I can't take the mental torture. You kept me here 9 months. These lot ironing their clothes to go home for 5 days. Well, I ain't got family. Yeah? You're what? It's not that I'm envious of them. Alhamdulillah, you can go. The whole system was messed up. You could get into trouble a lot easier because you're exposed to the outside world, and I couldn't do it. Akhi, man are getting rude to me and I want to punch off their face. And they're there for 2 months. I'm like, and there was one brother, Dicey, used to always hold me back. He goes, Akhi, you're nearly home. I'm like, nah, brother, nah. He goes, brother, you're a lifer. Are you about to mess up on the last hurdle? I said, Akhi, man's talking to me like I'm a donor. I'm not a donor. Yeah? But you're like, I'm a lifer. How much stuff do I have to lose? You're doing 2 months. You're going home next month. So the last 15 months, Akhi, the hardest time. And I think coming out, alhamdulillah, I had a good support network with my family. Got a massive family, cousins, my mum, my uncle. So I kind of felt like I had a beautiful family that would support me and fill the gaps in where I would fall. My probation officer, very, very good. Very, very good. Understood me, like helped me, advised me. But coming out, Akhi, was like an anti-climax because I was looking forward to the little things. Do you understand? I wasn't looking forward to the big things. And Akhi, you're going to be like, what is that? I was just looking forward for a run in the park, running through my old streets, eating my mum's Moroccan tagine. I wanted certain ice cream that I craved for 16 years. Akhi, I was looking forward to all the little things. So for me, Akhi, coming out was, it was like an anti-climax because I've come out, but there was quite a few things that blew my mind that I realised I had to adjust to. Even the Dyson hairdryers, bruv, in one burger place, bro, I was like, I didn't know where it was. I was like, what the heck? Like, there's little things. The colours, I had to get used to the colours. So I was bumping into people on the high street because I was just looking at the colours. I've been looking at bars for 16 years. So there was little things. I was like, sorry, but I wanted to just take it all in. Actually, they're only signs of the high street. But it was colour. And I just remember, because I was doing it in Kent. So my visits were taking place in Kent. So it was a bit different out there. But there was, little things I acclimatised to really, really quickly. But it was like an anti-climax, if I'm being honest. But the hardest time, Akhi, was my last 50 months was the hardest time. I actually said to the pro board, I prefer you just leave me alone. I don't know visits outside. And when you give me my pro date, just release me. They said, we can't do that. You need to evidence to us that you are safe to be in the community and you reduce your risk. So alhamdulillah, Allah bless me. May Allah bless brother Fazil as well, because his support, and brother Hassan, they helped me out so much, getting me to London and getting me back. And I had 6 successful home leaves, and I think I had about 18 successful town visits. So when I sat in front of the parole board, I always tell brothers this: do not give the parole board an excuse to tell you why you can't go home. You're not there to beg them like Oliver Twist, can I go home please? You're not there for that. You're there to make sure they don't have an excuse like to trip you up. Pro boards are not a joke, Akhi. They're no joke. Imagine you got 3 judges in front of you. They will decide when you want to go home. I'm on my 16th year. It's madness, man. Akhi, system, my brother. System. So alhamdulillah, Allah blessed me throughout my sentence. Got through it, through scrapes and that. But man, I was just looking forward to the smallest things, Akhi. The smallest things, man.
So yani when you... Well, I'm trying to just take it in as well, man. SubhanAllah. I'm really trying to put myself in your shoes. Coming out, seeing your mother for the first time outside, did you compare her how she looked before and how she looked after? Because wallahi, sometimes I think about this myself. 10 years ago, my mum looked in a certain way, and 10 years later, now my mum has a change. It hurts me, bro, because it only goes one direction. Our face, like how we look, only goes one direction. Like once you get a wrinkle, that's not going away. You know what I mean? Once once you start getting old, you can see it. Those facial features goes away. You can never reverse that. Forget plastic surgery and all of that. You can never reverse that. And it hurts seeing that change, because you can never go back to those old moments and make your mum smile like that, the way that she smiled 10 years ago. So I just want to hear it from your perspective, bro. When you saw your mum outside for the first time, how was it like for you? Even your sisters or your brother, your family, how was it like for you, bro? They must have been older, doing well for themselves, mashallah. How was it?
It's weird because I never cried when I got life sentence. I think I cried about 2 times in 16 years. And one of them was when my brother's newborn baby came to the maximum security prison. And then I'm like, I missed the birth of my first nephew. And that was like a realization. And Akhi, my cousin Hassan, it was in a Cat C prison. And I'm gonna be real, I got shown the outside world a little, through, and the world moved on. I went on certain places where my best friend was in a certain place back then in Jahiliyyah. Was in a certain place, and I'm like, and I looked at Akhi, it was a meltdown to see where everyone is. And I was on 16 years ago. My cousin took me and myself, sat me down. Akhi, wallahi, after these words, reprogrammed. And he goes, the world carried on moving when you weren't in. Forget your 16 years, it's done. So when he said that, I was actually 15 years, because I was in a CCAT at that point. He goes, your 15 years gone, write them off. You know, when he said that, it's like he badded me up, put me in that place. And I said, you're right. And then I just reprogrammed. Now, my mum, it was somebody who I saw throughout the 16 years. So the changes didn't really come apart from that one when she came in wobbling on a crutch. That hit me differently. But coming out for the first time and seeing her, she just didn't want to let me go. And even, I'd say 3 months in, you know, I'd still eat like the food she cooks, sit down, and she'll just sit there like almost like a zombie.
Yeah.
And she sit there and she calls me mummy, innit?
Yeah.
She goes, mummy, I still don't believe you're here. It couldn't sink. You never had me for 16 years. So 3 months in, she is still saying, mummy, I don't believe you're here. I go, mum, I'm here, man. Like, let go. She goes, no, because my mum actually had a nervous breakdown. She had a nervous breakdown during my incarceration. Me and my mum were like that. So me and my mum were very, very tight. Despite my upbringing, we were close. Like, I love my mum. So I know me going to prison hit her differently. And she would follow people around the street that resembled me. She would follow them like, that's my son. And she'll be with some of her friends like, that's not him. She still couldn't accept I've been incarcerated and I've got life. Imagine, Akhi, even when I've come out, she's sitting there eating with me. She's like, mummy, I don't believe you're here. So for me, Akhi, my mum's a strong woman. So I think where it is, I took from her strength. So the way you relate how you see your mum and the aging and all that, don't really have that with my mum, because my mum's like my best friend. I take from her strength, she takes from my strength. She's very, very straight. She gives me beautiful nasiha. So me and my mum are like that. So we know we're both, my mum's very staunch with that. We both know we're going to die one day. So coming out, it's a waste that I lost 16 years, but those 16 years have probably got us closer together forever, inshallah. So it's bittersweet, isn't it? But I didn't struggle with that, Akhi. I got to be honest. Well, like, maybe that's insensitive of me. No. But my mum's a strong woman.
Yeah, that just goes to show that you are strong. Allahumma barik, bro. May Allah put, bring you guys closer, inshallah.
Ameen.
You know, when you were saying that, I was thinking, wallahi, like mindset is a very important thing.
Wallahi, so true.
And it seems like you had a solid mind going into prison, being in prison, and while you came out of prison, because subhanAllah, the way you said it, because in my head I'm crumbling down, seeing thinking that I'm gonna come out, my mom's gonna be old, she's gonna be, I need to do so much more for her.
Nah.
But the way you just put it, bro, subhanAllah, bro, it's like, it brought us closer together. You saw the goodness coming out of the the negatives.
Yeah.
So I think that carried you through prison, right? Am I right?
My probation writes in my reports that Khattab's source of strength is his faith. She wrote that.
Okay.
And the parole board mentioned that as well.
Yeah.
And that's the truth.
That's
my strength.
Okay.
When everything leaves you, all you have is your faith. But I never got that until 5 years in, because I was in survival mode anyway.
Right.
So for me, Akhi, when you say that and I hear it back from you, Khattab, your mindset, Akhi, I don't know where it come from.
Allahumma barik.
Because I weren't trying to do 16 years in jail.
Yeah.
And one thing I will say, Akhi, and any viewer can come and challenge me and say anything differently, more than happy. I done it the right way. I believe I done it the right way. I believe I stood up for those that were oppressed, those brothers that might have wanted to bullied for certain things. I'm like, no, I stood up for what was the truth. I truly believe that. Anyone wants to come forward, test the waters and say, but Khattab, one time you done extra, come.
Yeah.
And let's put everything into context and grounds of what took place. I truly believe I done it the right way, and my reference point was always Islam. So when you have the truth, Akhi, you don't fear nothing. And I think what started to happen was I got lost in this beautiful deen that made the mindset get stronger. But when you say, yo, Khattab, it seems like you had a strong mindset, Akhi, I don't see that. I don't know where that came from. But, I think my probation officer documented that correctly, that, your source of strength is your faith. How observant of her. And am I going to disagree with her? No.
MashaAllah, tabarakallah. Yeah, Akhi, we're coming towards the end of the podcast. But I want brothers and sisters watching our podcast right now to take something away from this.
Sure.
For you to offer them some value. Now, the question I had for you was, I just slipped out of my mind, subhanAllah, man. Okay, I'll come back to that. Anyways, it was advice.
No.
Yeah? Because it was about the crime that you committed at the time. You probably did it for your veterans. You probably did it for your friends, the gang, right?
No.
Where were they when you were in prison? Yeah. And what should we do as brothers and sisters involved in similar situations? What should we keep in mind? Because your gang, your boys, your brethren are not there in prison. It's you alone, suffering. So what advice would you have? Address it to the brothers and sisters, inshallah.
Advice in regards to what?
Advice in regards to people in a similar situation as you. Right?
Similar situation.
Similar situation as you. To what extent should they prioritize their brethren?
Friendship. Oh, do I have to look at the camera?
Bismillah, you're addressing it directly to them. Bismillah.
Okay. The advice that I would give is for all those that in those particular situations is that firstly, your loyalty is to Allah and His Messenger. Now, for those that maybe not viewers or not familiar with Islam, you need to measure your friend. You need to upgrade. And when I look at, if I have to inflict harm on somebody else or offend or commit crime to be accepted by a group or to evidence loyalty, that ain't a friendship group. Yeah. So for me, I would say upgrade your friend standard. And there was something that our brother told me, because he had to pull me aside, and everything I read about Islam, the books that I was reading about sisters, I thought they existed outside. So I thought everything I was reading was outside. I just wasn't exposed to that world, and I quickly learned it ain't always reality of what you see in the books. And our brother took me aside and he said, Khattab, like, you keep wearing your heart on the sleeve, bruv. And one of your biggest problems is that you measure your standard of relationship on others. And sometimes people can't meet that. I am a true believer that we should make excuses for some of our brothers and sisters. That's something that's very important in the ummah. But don't always expect that your standard of relationship will be mirrored by the other side. And if you're going to have to keep measuring your relationship based on what I do for you, that ain't a relationship. Because in Islam, we don't give to receive. So for me, we give for the sake of Allah, and if it comes back, it comes back. If not, we hope to see it on the scales, inshallah, bismillah. So my advice would be, summing up, upgrade your standard of friend and measure expectations between the two, and inshallah, bismillah, then you'll have a successful relationship or friendship.
Inshallah. Okay, so as you know, we do a question for the next guest, inshallah.
Yeah.
Tell us, what question would you like to know from the next anonymous guest? I know it's a weird one that I'm going to put onto you. I know. Subhanallah. Take some time.
The last question that was posed to me was good. But what would I ask?
Could be anything general to a Muslim brother.
To a Muslim brother?
Yeah.
That's hard.
I know.
Do you regularly convey to your peer group you love them for the sake of Allah?
Subhanallah.
Because I think in this day and age, the macho side is getting very blurred. Prophet ﷺ said that, when a man came to him and said, "Oh, Prophet of Allah, I love so-and-so."
Yeah.
And Prophet ﷺ said, "Did you convey it to him?" And I think we don't do that. And wallahi, akhi, it's a reminder, because a couple of brothers DM'd me random on Instagram. Yeah, and they're in my peer group, but sometimes they might use my personal number, sometimes they might use Instagram. And akhi, this was about 2 weeks ago. He goes, "I miss you, Aki." And that was it. He didn't come back, he didn't engage, and I knew what that meant. So I think sometimes, akhi, and Prophet ﷺ also said, exchanging mutual gifts builds love. But akhi, just saying, I'd say, ask them, when was the last time you conveyed to your brother that you love him for the sake of Allah? And that will get them to understand or question, how close are we really, akhi? And we underestimate a text. So for me, that I don't know why, that just jumped in my head.
But that is beautiful, bro.
But yeah,
honestly, that is really, you hit the nail on the head there, subhanAllah.
Inspiring Ikhwa.
Alhamdulillah.
So akhi, let's tell each other we love each other for the sake of Allah.
Love you for the sake of Allah, bro.
So, yeah.
Wallahi, that's deep, bro. I can't lie. MashaAllah, tabarakallah. You made me realize as well. This guy behind the camera, MashaAllah, we've been friends for like 15 years, subhanAllah.
15 years? Yeah, he looks about 15. How old are you, Aki? How old is he?
We're the same age, subhanAllah. We turned 26 last week.
MashaAllah, you're doing something right. I need your skin cream. I don't know what you're doing. It's baby face, Allahumma barak, bro. Maybe it's the sujuds, I don't know.
Allahumma barak.
MashaAllah, he's like...
No, subhanAllah.
Subhanallah, may Allah bless you, man.
Ameen. Habibi, Jazakallah khairan for joining us, man. I hope, I didn't cause any offense. And anything good that came from us was from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and anything negative came from either myself or Brother Khattab and the shaitan. So forgive us if we said anything wrong, inshallah. And I'll leave the last few words to you, inshallah.
The last few words, 3 eyes. I don't know, it's coming in my head. 3 eyes.
3 eyes.
Is it 3 eyes?
Inspiring Ikhwa.
Yeah.
MashaAllah.
3 eyes. First one, ikhlas.
Ikhlas.
Yeah. Always have sincerity in whatever you do. I train quite a lot of people that come on to go on to be youth practitioners, youth workers, and I've always asked them, what do you think is the most important thing within this sector, whether you're Muslim or you're non-Muslim? And they come out with buzzwords: trust, being amazing, supporting, being reliable. Like, these are all buzzwords. I always say sincerity. If you are sincere to your work, then you will see things blossom, and inshallah bidnillah, it's rewarded. So sincerity, ikhlas. The second eye is inspiring.
MashaAllah.
Yeah. And the last eye is Ikhwa. And I would say the final note is, again, the brother opened up very beautiful. We're not here for the glamour. Sheikh Uthaymeen, Rahimallah, said that we should be competing with the people of falsehoods on the internet. So we don't know what khair will come from this, but you relate as well. If you've learned anything from it, maybe see it on the Day of Judgment on our scales, and subscribe. The 3 eyes, ikhlas, inspiring, Ikhwa, and again, spread it, inshallah, biznillah. Barakallahu feek.
Barakallahu feekum. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Assalamu alaikum rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Big up all the brothers here at Inspiring Ikhwa. May Allah bless their efforts. May Allah accept it from us. Please like and subscribe. Spread the ilm, spread the knowledge, spread all the reminders for the sake of Allah, and inshallah bidnillah, you'll get a portion of the reward. May Allah bless you. Barakallahu feek.